Welcome to the first episode of Can't Talk in Therapy. I'm your host, Erica Ige, and this podcast is for the besties who overshare in voice notes, trauma dump in the group chat, and journal in their notes app like it's a New York Times column. Here, we're unpacking the messy middle of ambition, burnout, identity shifts, and glow ups that don't always make the highlight reel online. Think the conversations you can't quite have in therapy because they're equal parts hilarious, unhinged, and heartbreakingly real. I'm Erica, your host, your big sis, your therapist bestie, who's seen some shit. And together, we'll mix memes, stories, hot takes, trending news, trending media, and practical shifts so you can finally stop spiraling and start regulating and be able to build a life that feels as good as it looks, because healing doesn't happen in perfect Instagram reels or TikTok videos. It happens in the chaos, the cry laughing or crafting, like I like to say, and the WTF am I doing with my life moments. So grab your iced coffee or matcha, your earbuds, and let's get into it. On today's episode, friends, we are going to be talking about, has anyone turned their life around after 30? I came across quite a few posts like this over on Reddit, and it really sparked me wanting to talk about just life after 30. I'm 33 years old, 3 years into 30, closer to being 34 than I am 33. And I thought we could really get into talking about why your life doesn't end once you turn 30, and how honestly, truly your 20s aren't really your prime. It's even though a lot of people try to make it seem like your 20s are your prime. Okay, so again, tell me why. I was scrolling. I found that post when I was scrolling Reddit at like 2 o'clock 2 a.m. in the morning last night, which is a really bad habit. I know I need to be asleep. And I found that thread, and the questions in the comments had me in my feelings, because I can very much so remember thinking like, oh my God, 30 is so old. And spoiler alert, it's really not. Like, why do we act like our 20s are just like the most amazing time in our life? And then after that, life is just terrible, because it's really not. And quick vibe check, if you are in your 20s, or if you're feeling like you're 20, your life is going to be over when you're not 20 anymore, I'm here to tell you that's just not true. Also, this is for the people who feel like their 20s were a hot mess express, and if you felt that way, then you're in the right place. So let me give you like quick flashback on my 20s. I had 2 degrees. I got my bachelor's and my master's. I went straight through, spent 6 years in school, and then got out and couldn't get a job for nothing. I applied to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of jobs. I did mock interviews. I did networking. Got my resume reworked by several people. And no matter what I did, I kept running into the same problem that people couldn't see or understand why I wanted to change careers, because I went to school and got my master's in social work, and I realized halfway through that it wasn't what I wanted to do anymore. I finished getting my degree because I spent all that time. I might as well get the degree, but I decided that I didn't want to do it. And then I tried to transition just into something simple like office administration work, and you would have thought that it was rocket science. People were acting like it was rocket science, like I couldn't do it. It was just something that I couldn't be trained on, and I couldn't get a job for nothing. So I had to take a whole bunch of weird gigs. I worked at a gym. Oh yeah, I got on the shirt. I worked at Orange Theory Fitness for a little while. I did a few contract jobs here and there. Like I covered for people on holiday shifts in offices, and I covered a shift at a hospital, like rerouting people to a different location. Like I was doing so many like random things just to try to get my foot in the door, and nothing was working long term. And then the jobs that I did get that were like full time, the work environment was so hostile. It was just frustrating. And at the time, mind you, I was 24 when I graduated. And at the time, I was the people pleaser, the ultimate people pleaser. I was what you call a people pleasing princess. So like if people mistreated me or pushed all their work off on me, I just did not know how to stand up for myself. I was having panic attacks, anxiety, like it was insane. And adult life at that time was just like nothing that I thought it was going to be. And I was also people pleasing in my relationships. I was like people pleasing with my husband. At the time, he was my boyfriend. We were living together. I was people pleasing a lot about stuff going on with us that led into our marriage, which I'll cover in another episode. I lost my dad when I was 19, and then I lost my two aunts, and then my sister. And so I was grieving all the entirety of my 20s. And I was feeling super, super depressed. I just didn't realize it. And I just felt like everybody else was doing something right because they were getting their life together. They were having careers. They were thriving. And I felt like, well, what am I doing? Question mark. I don't know what I'm doing. And then I got married, and everybody's like, well, yay, you got married. And, then we bought a house, and everybody's like, yay, you bought a house. But truth be told, my husband was the one that bought the house. Yes, my name is on the deed, but he bought the house. He paid for it because he was the one working. I wasn't. And I just didn't really ever feel like I had something that was fully my own. And then in 2020, I tried to put my hat up and start a business, and it never fully got off the ground. Like, yeah, I made some money. I made, I think, about $60,000 one year, but it took a lot of grit, a lot of burnout, a lot of late nights. I was so confused about what I was doing. I was crying half of the time. I just wasn't very happy, like, at all. I just felt like a failure, to be really, really frank with you. The entire time I felt like a failure, and I was hiding out in shame. I didn't want to go out and do anything with people. I didn't want to make friends. I put on a ton of weight because I was eating my feelings, and I was starting to have health problems because of that. Like, it was a mess. You hear that? It was a hot mess. And it's crazy because, again, according to culture, like, oh, you graduated with 2 degrees, check. You got married, check. You got a house, check. Like, I was winning the lottery according to most people, but I didn't have a career to back it up. And then, like I said, the last part of the years, my mother-in-law had to move in with us because her health deteriorated, and then my marriage started to suffer. And I just felt like I entered my 30s and I didn't know what my life was about to look like. I didn't know my up from down most days, and I was so confused about what I was going to actually do and how I was going to do it. And mind you, I still haven't quite figured out what I'm actually doing career-wise, but the difference between how I felt at the end of my 20s and how I feel now is night and day. I feel a lot more settled now. And I don't know if that came because I'm a mother now, and I have to remind myself that a child is looking up to me and I'm nurturing a child and I have to be different. Or if that just came because I finally was like, I'm tired of stressing out about it and I don't care anymore. I'm going to figure it out eventually, but there's no point in stressing out all the time. Like, who wants to do that? I'm tired of crying. I'm tired of feeling ashamed. Let my freak flag fly. And if people judge me for it, oh well, like, they're not living my life. They're not paying my bills either. Like, only people that really matter, whose opinions really matter, are my husband, my child's, and my mom's. Like, that's, if we're being frank. And even with that only matters to a certain extent because I have to still live my life and be happy. So let's talk about that big lie. The big lie that society sells you, that if you get the degree, if you get the job, if you get the house, the marriage, the kids by 30, especially in the South where I'm from, that you've made it. And this is really, really bad with women in particular. Like I said, everybody has, oh, your biological clock is ticking. Oh, if you don't have kids by the time you turn 30, you're never gonna have them. Big lies. And the thing is, like I said, even with the people who checked all those boxes like I did, if that's not what they wanted, all they wanted for their life, then they're probably still gonna be unhappy. Like, I was still unhappy because I still felt like something was missing. I still felt like I wasn't fulfilling my purpose. I wasn't doing what I needed to do or what I wanted to do for myself. I still feel like I need something for myself. Like, yes, I love my husband. Yes, I love my kid to death, to pieces. But that doesn't mean that I don't want anything for myself. And also, I'm a mom, so I can tell you guys this personally for all the people who are not moms. If you were to go in some of those stay-at-home mom groups on Facebook, or where people go in there complaining about how abusive their husbands are or how horrible their husbands are or how, like, unhappy they are but they can't leave because they don't have a career, you would feel a lot better about your life, okay? Because some of the stuff I read in there is horrific. And so if you haven't found your life partner yet or whatever, but you have a career, seriously count it as a blessing, because some people have to struggle really, really hard with the partners that they chose in their early 20s, and it's not good at all. Anyways, so if you come across this, I want you to reframe this so that it's not about hitting your milestones. Like, milestones are cool, but like, your life is not a milestone. Your life is your life. Like you're going to wake up one day and not care about like, oh, I checked all these boxes and hit all these milestones. That's not what you're going to care about if you find out that you only have X amount of time to live. You're going to care about how you actually felt while you were living your life and whether your life is genuinely yours, not a life that's been determined by someone else, but is genuinely what you want for yourself. That needs to be what you need to be thinking about when it comes to the life you want to structure. And if your life is currently not looking like that, then we need to figure out why that is. Like for me, a lot of it was because I was doing what other people wanted me to do, people pleaser. And then having to like unlearn that and unpack that and figure out, okay, well, what does Erica want? And not Erica the wife, not Erica the mom. What does Erica want? Because if I figure out what I want first, then it can reflect in all these other roles that I am, that I am attached to. So let's start there. And then too, let's also talk about overnight success. I feel like people get it confused all the time that they think that most people in their 20s, especially because in celebrity culture, a lot of people peak in their youth and it seems like they have instant success and overnight success when in reality that's not true. Take two examples, for example, that are really popular right now. Sabrina Carpenter, what's that girl's name? The one that says HOTTLGO. Oh my gosh, I love her and I'm so mad that I can't think of her name right now. It's gonna come to me later. Anyways, you guys know who I'm talking about. They both spent 10 years working towards getting where they are right now. 10 years. And it seems like overnight, boom, they blew up. But in reality, that's not the case. They spent 10 years working towards their moment of popularity that they're having right now. The increased fame, success, recognition. 10 years. So can you imagine? 10 years they're working towards their craft in music. 10 years they're working towards getting towards this big moment. Most people give up like before they get it to that. Most people give up, but they did it and they're under 30. So I wanted to give you guys some other examples of people over 30 who it's popularly known that they did not find success until after 30. Morgan Freeman. You guys, if you don't know who some of these people are because you're too young, please go look them up because you need to learn who they are. They're really great people. But Morgan Freeman did not land his first acting role until he was 52. Vera Wang, who's the wedding dress designer, did not design her first wedding dress until she was 40. J.K. Rowling, love her or hate her, she did not publish her first Harry Potter book until she was 34. Oprah Winfrey did not find success in her talk show until she was 32 when it became syndicated. Stan Lee, the guy that created Marvel Comics, Spider-Man, all that stuff, didn't write his first comic until he was 39. Reed Hastings, who's the man that co-started Netflix, didn't start Netflix until he was 36. So that should tell you. And that's just like the little people I know. Also too, like Martha Stewart was like a stockbroker or something like that. And she didn't start her like home company that she's known for, the cooking and all that stuff, until she was like in her 50s, I think. Like, so like just let that like sink in. Most people think that everything happens in your 20s when in reality there's all this time afterwards that you have that you can be more settled and have more clarity and be clear, where you can be more confident in what it is that you're actually doing and build the thing that you want to build and not feel like you didn't do everything in the 10 years of your life, which might not add. Most of those 10 years are spent trying to figure out who you are outside of your parents. So I think it's kind of absurd that people think you're going to figure all that out within those first 10 years. It's crazy. There's so many life changes and things going on then that it's nuts for anybody to think you're going to get it all figured out in your 20s. But I digress. Also, so with that being said, if Beyonce, I say you, Beyonce is us. I lied. We want to be Beyonce. Anyways, if Beyonce can spend 5 years dreaming up Renaissance and Cowboy Carter and strategically planning her act 1, act 2 album drop, you can take your time building a life that feels good for you, because it's not necessarily about peaking at a certain moment and then dropping off. It's about the momentum that you build over time. Your life is a marathon. It is not a sprint. I know people say that all the time, but it's true. It is true. And so also just connecting this back to me, I'm 33 right now. My child is 1 year old and my career is big old question mark. Right now I'm writing blogs and recording this video to go up on YouTube for you. but I'm still trying to figure out what the other half of that looks like for me. I don't know if I'm gonna be doing something else. All I know is that this is where I am and I'm trying to figure it out. And yes, I'm doing other things to make money right now because hello, it's expensive out here in 2025. But the difference between how I think about life now versus how I thought about life in my 20s was that I felt like everything was so chaotic in my 20s. Like everything was dire. Everything was, oh, I got to impress these people. Oh, I got to make sure people think that I'm doing well. And now I don't give two F's, to be honest. I don't care what people think because they're not living my life. And so I just want to encourage you today to let you know that you're not failing. And I tell this a lot to my younger sister, who's my sister in law. She's 24. She's going to be 25 this year. You're not failing. Like your prime doesn't expire just because you're getting closer to 30. Your prime doesn't expire even when you first get into your 30s. Your prime doesn't expire when you turn 35 or when you turn 40. Like the best years of your life are still ahead of you. Even if the middle of it is messy, that's where the magic happens. Your life still has the opportunity to get great, to get better. It does. As much as people say it doesn't. Even if you're in your 80s, even if you're in your 90s, it still has an opportunity to get better. You still have an opportunity to make your life what you want. Keep that in mind. So I want your takeaway to be from this podcast, this whatever, is to intentionally practice living your life like that. Live your life like it's just gonna get better. It's just gonna keep getting better. Live and think that even if right now isn't great, which most people are facing hardships because of what's going on right now in our country, even if it's not great, still believe that you can still create the life that you want, even if you have to do it within a certain parameter. There are still small things that you can take and make your own and that you own and have power over. You can still be intentional about how you frame your life or how you view it or think about it. And I have this philosophy over here where we talk about living a life that's hot, calm, and paid, where we don't focus on just, getting paid or making the most money or doing whatever. We want to make sure you feel great in your body, that, you release all the stress in your body, that you take care of yourself like you love yourself, that you calm your nervous system, because more and more studies are coming out that the more stress you have, the more health problems you have, the more you don't think clearly, which means it spills over into the decisions you make, spills over into the money you can or cannot make, or the creativity you can and cannot have or lack. So it's really important that you live by that philosophy, that I'm going to try to live a life or build a life where I can take care and love my body and nourish it and make sure that it can carry me into my older age, that we can calm our nervous system and I can live a life that has clarity, where I can think clearly, where I'm not overly stressed, where I'm not overly frantic and ashamed of where I am, that I am cool, calm, and collected and chill so that I can present my best self to people when they are interacting with me. And that's paid so I can have healthy money habits where I can plan for the future, plan to take care of myself, and everything's cool. That's the hot, calm, paid philosophy. And if you're in your 20s and you're still feeling like they're chaotic, honestly, cool. This is that's the time period for it. It's the time for you to be as messy as possible and try to piece together the life that you actually want to live. It is not a time for you to be stressed out and overly worried about stuff that truly, when you get to your 30s, doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. None of it matters, no matter what these people say. Your 30s, I feel like, are for your glow ups. It's for you to settle into where you are, to get more secure in who you are, and to actually start making sure you solidify habits that where you can actually take care of yourself, because your 30s build your body and your health and your longevity for your 50s, your 40s, 50s, and then beyond. And your 40s, I know from what I've heard from people, that's when you truly, truly stop giving an F, okay? Because at that point, hey, if they can't accept you, they can't love you. If you're, things aren't going well, then F it. Like you really only have one life to live. So a few things. If you want help figuring out what area of your life, what hot, calm, or paid that you want to work on, I have a free diagnostic that takes you through this an exercise that helps you pinpoint which part of your life you're struggling with right now and helps you create a plan so that you can help make it better. All you need to do is subscribe to my newsletter, The Midlife Glow Up. And yeah, so next week, we're also going to be talking about something I already talked about in my previous newsletter. We're going to be talking about fall and how you can use the fall to help get you to a better spot before the end of the year, and also how being calm can help you make more money in this economy, especially while everything in the world feels chaotic and a dumpster fire. So, if you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up. Go give it a rating. Let me know what your thoughts and comments are on it. And I cannot wait to see you back next week. Bye.